for our next panel. And I'm delighted to introduce, to start the panel, one of Congress's biggest ocean champions. Kicking off this session will be Representative Lois from California, who serves on the Energy and Commerce Committee and is also the co-chair of the Sanctuary Caucus. Representative Capps has been instrumental in ensuring that our nation has laws to protect our coastal waters, manage aquaculture in a sustainable way, and integrate an ocean observation system. And thanks to her efforts, educational initiatives like the California Bay Watershed Education and Training Program, otherwise known as BWET, and the Multicultural Education for Resource Issues Threatening Oceans, otherwise known as MORITO. Those programs help ensure that we are creating new generations of ocean stewards. And for her wonderful work for all of those years, we were very honored to recognize the Congresswoman for our Leadership Award in 2010. And we're delighted to have her here this morning, Congresswoman Lois Capps.
Thank you. I love the way you gather with the background of the contribution between Google Earth and NOAA. We can be immersed in the topic. And thank you, Jason, for your kind introduction. I'm delighted to be here because I think this topic, America's ocean culture, is just a fascinating one, and I know we have great expertise here. I want to personally welcome our moderator, Juliet, and each of our panelists for your leadership on these issues and how we will learn together. I especially want to put in a word for a constituent of mine, who is Stephen Carr on your far left, from the Ventura County Department of Education. Ventura County, which I represent part of at the moment, has been a leader on environmental education and using technology to connect more students to the sea. I'm glad you're all here. I also want to thank the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation and all of the organizers for this conference. Capitol Hill Oceans Week is always a substantial endeavor, and now it is a tradition here on Capitol Hill. I've always appreciated the opportunity to speak to this gathering, and over the years, I've had the privilege of introducing another constituent and friend, Jean-Michel Cousteau. And I've been able to talk about the network of marine reserves at our own Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary, right as part of my congressional district. And I've been able to discuss the important role our oceans play in protecting human health, an issue that's very important to me with my background as a public health nurse. And I'm particularly fond of this topic, and it's the role that education plays, since my career before coming to Congress was as a school nurse in my local school district. So I'm proud to help kick off a session on America's oceans culture. Experts representing different regions of the country will be speaking about this topic in more detail. But I just want to take a minute or two to talk about my own experiences with the ocean. I was born in Wisconsin. Not much of an ocean state, but although the seashore is part of that state as well, but I spent most of my youth and college in the Pacific Northwest, far from any coastline. And it wasn't until I moved with my family to Santa Barbara, California in the early 1960s that I began to fully recognize that all that the oceans give us. And much of my early thinking about our oceans was strongly influenced by major events like the 1969 oil spill in the waters off Santa Barbara, which occurred just a few years after we arrived to the area, and also the creation of the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary. My thinking has been formed by raising my children in the sand and the sound of the surf. And it was shaped by my time in the classroom with students, many of whom, though they lived a mile or two from the ocean, had never been to the beach. It wasn't a part of their culture. And so I saw firsthand the value of programs like BWET and MORITO, even for those living right on the coastline. Now, as a member of Congress, I can continue to recognize the crucial role our oceans play in our daily lives. And it's why I've been an ardent opponent of new offshore oil drilling, and I helped to start the bipartisan National Marine Sanctuary Caucus. It's why I helped to write the Beach Act in 2000 to make our coastal waters safer. And it's why I've secured funding for NOAA programs like Be Wet and a new sanctuary facility at our own local university, UC Santa Barbara, to increase scientific and educational opportunities. These are some of the personal reasons why I've been active in protecting our oceans. I know each of you has your own personal reasons as well. And this can occur whether or not you live on the shoreline or far into the interior. So with this morning's session, I hope we'll all draw on our own experiences and be influenced by a new season, sense of purpose, and the season that lies before us, which is so critical for maintaining the strength of our oceans. Since our earliest days, we've been depending on the oceans for our livelihood, and now we realize we depend upon them for our very life. Many of our forefathers crossed the seas to come here, and also crossed in order to fish our oceans. And through the generations, they've done so generally in the same manner that is done today. It's a testament to the fortitude of the oceans that they have persisted when our technology and our cultures have changed so much. That resiliency of our oceans, however, is far from infinite. The oceans have been subjected to so very much: acidification, global warming, pollution, increased adventures in every direction, and now the forefront of energy within our oceans as a new challenge. We must make sure our oceans are where they can contribute, remain where they can contribute to our grandchildren and grandchildren's grandchildren. With all of the accelerating pressures with each passing year, we want this legacy to continue as we have found it, and even if we can, to improve that legacy for future generations. So I thank you for this opportunity, and I thank our participants for being here. I know each of you shares in my belief that our oceans deserve and need our absolute attention. We have no choice but to protect them. Should the oceans no longer be able to sustain their own life, we would very quickly feel the consequences. We would even find it impossible to sustain ours. It is that much intertwined. The understanding of how our cultures have been shaped and influenced by our oceans is so critical to ensuring their viability for the generations to come. So I look forward to hearing the various perspectives expressed here today, and I thank you, each one, for participating in CHOW and for your hard work and your dedication to our oceans, and thank you.